Hello, wine-drinking people. It's Friday, March 19th. We finally made it to the weekend. I don't want to say an uneventful week because we did quite a bit of drinking this week, and we had an Olympic day yesterday. Just one supplier in the store. We had Craig in from Augustin, and he brought us some wines from Chehalem Vineyards. The 2007 vintage in Oregon. Yeah, unfortunately, they had some problems with rain. The best wines from 2007, the producers used a technique where they freeze the juice before they ferment it to get some of the water out of it to concentrate the fruit. These 2000 Chehalem wines were typical of 2007 Pinots, a little light on the fruit, but I love the savoriness of these wines. There were some people that made some good wines. These guys picked before the rain in 2007, so the acidity obviously very high. The fruit, a little light on these wines, but I think the price is right. They did lower the price on all their products in 07, which is a smart move. The 2007 Inox Chardonnay, a term that refers to stainless steel fermentation as opposed to barrel fermentation, really fresh style, really lively, very refreshing Chardonnay. You wouldn't think it's Chardonnay because of its lack of oak, but that was very nice from the 2008 vintage. And then we had a 2007 Riesling from them, which was very good, very typical of Riesling, a little bit of that petrol, and it's labeled reserve because it's an extra year in the bottle. That's what they do at Chehalem. It's not by law you need to do anything different to label a wine reserve in Oregon, but very good Riesling from them from 2007. And the Pinots you can read the reviews on. They were nice. I'm not really investing too much in 07 Pinots. You can still find some really good 06 stuff out there from Oregon. So that's what I had to drink in the store yesterday, and then I was off to a private event at the Pelican Bay Resort. This is on Fort Lauderdale Beach, and this place reminds me of why I love South Florida. Just looking out over the coast from the 11th floor balcony there is absolutely spectacular. I had a financial group hire me to do an event last night. People, I do work for wine. So we had a nice tasting. We started out with a 2006 Blanc de Blanc from Schramsberg, one of my favorites. As you know, the theme of the tasting tonight was wines from around the world because there are great wines being made in all over the world today. And then we went off to New Zealand for the Brancott Sauvignon Blanc. This is one of the best values we have in the store, 92 points in the Wine Spectator, and it's $13.86 on sale. The 2008 vintage of Brancott showed very nicely that lovely fruit cocktail style fruit that they have, papaya, mango, kiwis, pink grapefruit, just delicious, very refreshing. Then we were off to the Russian River Valley in Sonoma, and we had the J Vineyard Chardonnay. This is George Bursick. It's now at J Vineyards. He was at Ferrari Carano for years. He's the guy that made their Chardonnay famous. The first 11 vintages, 90 points or higher in the Wine Spectator. This 2007 J was very nice, very typical of what you get from California, the Russian River. Juicy fruit, just a little hint of that vanilla spice and creme brulee. But again, 2007. Do I need to say more about the 2007 vintage of Chardonnay? I think I've been harping on this one for the last couple of weeks. We've been drinking quite a bit of 2007s. They are great. Then we were off to Italy, to Alto Adige, an area called Venezia Giulia, about an hour north of Venice, and we had a little Merlot from Santa Elena. This wine is from the 2000 vintage. Reminds me of a Saint Emilion or Pomerol. A lot of earth showing, a lot of cigar, tobacco. Really nice. Still has some very good acidity and some fruit left to it. This wine is drinking at its peak. Not your typical Merlot, though, if you're looking for something light and fruity and inoffensive like they make in California. And then we were off to back to the North American continent, to Oregon. We had the 2006 Soder Mineral Springs, Tony's home vineyard, which is now starting to come onto its own and produce fruit. This is a great vintage in Oregon, really juicy, a lot of blackberry, black cherry fruit to this, velvety texture, really nice acidity, very well built. Like I said, look out for 2006s from Oregon, a very good vintage, still a lot of stuff in the markets. And then we got on our plane and went back to across the coast to Australia. Had a little Amanra Godolphin from Ben Glazer, the 2005. This is the last vintage. This wine will be called Godolphin. Some Saudi got pissed off because Ben was using this term, and he said, I got more money than you do, even though you may win the lawsuit because no one's going to mistake a wine for a horse stable. I'm going to sue you everywhere you're at. So Ben decided to change the name wisely to Anaparina. But still a Shiraz Cabernet blend from the Shiraz from one of the oldest vineyards in the Barossa, the Ebenezer Vineyard. This 2005 was just rocking, a little monster, still has years ahead of it. Then we got on a plane and went back to North America to the Niagara Peninsula, and we showed a little Vidal ice wine from Inniskillin, the largest producer of ice wine in the world. I had a chance to visit them last July, an absolutely beautiful facility. Ice wine, very expensive to make. If you look at one vine will make one bottle of wine, you would have one vine make making one glass of wine when you make ice wine, because the grapes freeze out on the vines before they press them, and all that freezes in the grapes is the water, so it leaves them a lot more concentrated. Inniskill and Vidal was beautiful, very well balanced. Instead of being just cloyingly sweet, this wine has got great acidity at the end, leading me to believe it's going to age for a very long time. So that was our professional tasting we did last night, and then off to Cafe Max for dinner. And it's rare that I walk into the back room or into any room at Cafe Max and not be greeted by someone pushing a glass of wine into my face, which is very nice. It's kind of like my second home. And last night, as I walked into the back room, I thought I was on for an all-star evening, and I realized it was going to be of Olympic proportions, because there was Hugh Gardner, Stu and Kathy Roberts, and Grace, and they had 59 Lafite, 59 Latour, 61 Margaux, 1837 Oscars Boal Madeira, 1842 Tarentaise, just an incredible lineup of wines on the table, and we were definitely bested. But the table I was at was no slouch either. We had an incredible lineup. These guys saved me a little bit of everything on the table. 2002 Verite Lamousse, 1997 Philip Tagny, 2001 Chloe Erasmus, 2006 Colgan Syrah, the 2003 Gigal Hermitage Ex Voto, which was drinking like a port. That wine was so rich and concentrated. You put it alongside the Colgan IX Estate Syrah 06, and you could have thought that wine was from California. It was absolutely beautiful. And we probably had a few other things these guys will call and remind me about. Well, one of the wines of the night was one of the last wines I had. It was the 2007 Peter Michael Ma Belleville Chardonnay. Peter Michael is the best producer of Chardonnay in California, in my opinion, and even with a little drop of this wine in the glass, man, you could notice the concentration that it had, the creme brulee, the vanilla, the tropical fruit, incredibly rich, minerality to the wine, and great acidity on the finish. Really outstanding bottle of wine. We have a case of that available in the store. Okay, and then I came home to find my wife had drank 4 bottles of wine, and she had a little sign out in front of the 4 bottles. I don't know if she was being sarcastic or trying to be funny, but I found it somewhat humorous. 2 bottles of Toretto Blanc Jarnais, a bottle of 1991 Renina Brunello, and a bottle of 2000 Clos de Marquis, which is the one I was most upset about. She did leave me a little bit of that wine, though. So, honey, that was pretty funny what you drank last night. So just to let you know, I'm going over things with the crowd from what you drank last night also. Okay, what am I drinking tonight? I already mentioned that we have the Pichon Lalande vertical tasting back to 1940. I'm not going to go through the vintages again. We are going to drink them tonight with or without you. We do have a few seats left. Tomorrow night, I've got a event with the Tower Club for the library's literary feast. And then I'm down to Coral Gables on Sunday to drink Italian wines with some good friends. So I'll have a lot to talk about next week. What are we trying to sell you today? Today, we have a collection of 2006 red Burgundies. 2006, a vintage that's been somewhat forgotten about because 2005 was so great and because of the turmoil that's happened with this Diageo company. So we have a bunch of great 2006s on sale for 20 to 35% off. Check it out on today's email. This is Andrew Lamposoni, your host, signing off for the Wine Watch. And remember, always drink the good stuff first.